Well, now that's the signal for some movies that aren't even worth three
Hey,
tickets.
Sparky, come on.
And we have a little bit of surprise. We're introducing Sparky the Wonder Dog. That's right, Spot the Wonder Dog got a little tired, and we have seen all those lousy pictures, so here's Sparky the Wonder Dog. Welcome to one of the roughest jobs in television.
Listen, kid, you're really going to earn your dog biscuits on this one. My dog this week starts out the new season with one of the very worst, most inept, most technically idiotic movies I've ever seen. It's called Hollywood High Part 2. This is about teenagers who spend most of their day goofing off at school or playing ball on the beach. A lot of this movie doesn't even have dialogue. The soundtrack consists of recycled teenage surf party hits stolen from the bottom 40. Every once in a while, a kid will say, "Hey, gang, let's cruise down Hollywood Boulevard." And then what do we get? We get Chamber of Commerce footage of all the bright lights of Hollywood Boulevard, but you can't see any of the characters of the movie anywhere. Hollywood High Part 2. Remember the name? Beware the film.
That's too bad. I like the title. My dog this week is Chu Chu and the Philly Flash. A big budget picture. It's a self-indulgent comedy starring Carol Burnett and Alan Arkin as a couple of San Francisco drifters who stumble across a suitcase containing government secrets. Burnett plays a Carmen Miranda-style entertainer. Arkin is a street hobo known as the Philly Flash. Why? Because he was once a star baseball player, we're supposed to believe, with the Philadelphia Phillies. All there is to the film is a series of mindless car chases and Burnett and Arkin mugging for the camera. I didn't laugh once in this film. In fact, it was genuine agony to have to sit through it.
My sympathy, Gene. Well, here come two movies we definitely can't recommend because that's Sparky the Wonder Dog. Come on, Sparky, get in your chair.
Yeah, over here, baby.
Be sure to help us sniff out the week's worst movies, the dogs of the week.
Doesn't want to sit close to me. Well, I can't blame him. My dog this week is a stupid sex comedy with the ridiculous title of The Kinky Coaches and the Pom Pom Pussycats. Sounded like it might be fun, but it wasn't. Instead, it turned out to be yet another film made in Canada with tax shelter money. The financial arrangements, obviously, were more creative than the script. Maybe they should call this picture The Kinky Lawyers and the Pom Pom Tax Accountants. Can you believe it? This film actually gives us the first boring slapstick football game I've ever seen in a movie, and they're always funny. Also, there's very little nudity in the film. That's disappointing. Most of the jokes are like this. One high school football team steals the good luck charm from a rival football coach. They steal his lucky long johns. This film is a simpering bore.
Sounds pretty kinky and not very pom-pom.
Right.
My dog this week is A Hard Way to Die, advertised as the first modern kung fu movie ever shot in America. Guess they never heard of Kill and Kill Again, but then a lot of people haven't heard of Kill and Kill Again. A Hard Way to Die has wall-to-wall kung fu action, needless to say. The most unforgettable scene in the film comes after one kung fu fighter is critically wounded. His two buddies drag him into a doctor. The doctor says it looks bad. Then he starts hammering at his patient with kung fu blows. The buddies say, "What do you think you're doing with our friend?" The doctor says this is an ancient Chinese treatment. Meanwhile, he's crushing the guy's back so the blood pours out of his mouth. It's needed to force the blood from the chest cavity. Then he'll be in tip-top shape after he soaks in a tub of this purple medicine. Well, it's really thrilling to see a modern kung fu movie. Well, here is a great one. Sparky the Wonder Dog leaping into the balcony to help us pick out the dogs of the week, the week's worst movies.
Well, my dog this week is a rip-off skin flick called Fantasies. It's about 8 years old. The only reason it's being re-released now around the country is it stars a teenage actress named Kathleen Collins, who has since changed her name to Bo Derek. You may have heard of her. Fantasies is the story of a young woman experiencing growing pains as she is tossed and turned between two men, but who cares about that? The big question is, does Bo Derek take her clothes off?
Does she?
Yes, but she does it only twice, once for a bath and the other time for a brief lovemaking session. And the film is rated R, so it's all quite tame and in soft, fuzzy focus. It's just a miserable film, and you can safely avoid Fantasies.
Thanks for the tip, Gene. My dog this week is Hell Night, starring Linda Blair, who was possessed by the devil in The Exorcist and had her brain fried in The Heretic. Now she must undergo the most inhuman experience of all, a fraternity hell week. You got it. This is another one of those dead teenager movies. They're all just about the same. Every one of them starts out with several dozen teenagers and winds up with several dozen dead teenagers. In Hell Night, the cast spends the night creeping through a deserted mansion where a whole family was murdered long ago. They were all murdered except for the youngest son, a freak who is described as a gork. Well, my dictionary doesn't define gork, but apparently, judging by the film, gorks are creatures who live in a mad slasher movie and kill teenagers. Well, that means gorks can't be all bad. Look at it this way. Someone didn't kill those teenagers, those movies would never end. In fact, I think we owe this gork a vote of thanks.
Well, here's a dog who cares about bad movies. Sparky the Wonder Dog, and these films are really lousy. They're the dogs of the week.
Well, my dog this week is a very strange horror film named Fear No Evil. Scenes have been pieced together at a garage sale of leftover scenes from other horror movies. It begins with a duel to the death between Lucifer and a brave priest, and then it switches to hijinks in the hallway of a local high school. Now, the film also includes a teenage girl who is the reincarnation of a tortured monk, a greaser in a red convertible, and a male English teacher is having an affair with a cute little hall monitor. The climactic scene is a showdown between Lucifer and a magical cross that zaps out ray beams just like in The Watcher in the Woods. Now, this movie may seem to make absolutely no sense, but it sure got a lot of slick stuff in it.
Okay, well, my dog this week is a violent shocker called Ms. 45. That's Ms. MS 45. The story of a supposedly liberated young woman who is outraged after being raped, so she goes on the offensive and begins blasting a variety of creeps who are after her body. Standing and shooting like Clint Eastwood, this delicate young woman, easy Sparky, comes across as sort of a Dirty Harriet. This film does have some curiosity value, offering a woman as a killer, and the soundtrack is pretty good too. But the film turns out to be a dog, because once the shooting starts, it never stops. And Ms. 45 turns out to be just another movie bloodbath full of slow-motion killings.
Well, here are some films that are special, Gene. They have the dubious honor of being selected by Sparky the Wonder Dog as the Dogs of the Week.
Okay, well, my dog this week is a Goldie Hawn comedy called Lovers and Liars. And you might think, hey, Goldie Hawn's made a new comedy a year after Private Benjamin. Well, that's wrong. Lovers and Liars is an old Goldie Hawn comedy. She made it before, about 2.5 years ago in Italy. In the picture, Hawn plays a young American tourist in Italy on the run from her Chicago lover who lied to her. He's married. So who does she become involved with in Italy? Sure, a married man, Giancarlo Giannini. Easy, Sparky. This film is full of stupid slapstick and bad sound dubbing. He's moaning over here. It's a total waste of your time. In general, if a film comes out with an American movie star and the ad campaign is kind of quiet and the film was made in Europe, chances are it's a dog that they made earlier in the career, and that's Lovers and Liars.
Okay, Gene, I'll give it a pass. My dog this week is an obscure little psychological thriller named Haunts. And it's a movie with the most confusing and impenetrable plot I've come across in a long time. Mae Britt plays a woman who lives in the woods with her uncle and is constantly being assaulted by strange intruders. Things get so bad that she's attacked in the shower on 3 different occasions. That's 3 of the 6 shower scenes in this movie. And then at the end, it turns out that nothing happened the way we thought it did, and the dead man in the grave turns out to really be Mae Britt's pet goat. Well, how did that happen? Well, you know you're in trouble when they spend the last 12 minutes of a movie in nonstop dialogue just trying to explain what happened, and still you can't understand it.
That is tough to say. Mae Britt's pet goat. Okay. Meanwhile, Sparky's run out of the balcony. Well, now here's Sparky the Wonder Dog sniffing out the dogs of the week, the week's worst movies.
Well, my dog this week is a kung fu extravaganza named the Seven Grandmasters, and I thought maybe with the World Chess Championship just being over, why, this would show kung fu champions breaking chessboards with their bare hands, but no. The only pawns in this movie are in the audience.
Getting rooked.
Right. The film follows the adventures of a would-be kung fu grandmaster who vows to challenge and defeat the 7 reigning grandmasters, including, now let's see, you have the Tiger Grandmaster, the Python Grandmaster, the Eagle Grandmaster, the Rat Grandmaster, and so forth. The hero and his gung-ho groupies march from one showdown to the next, reducing each Grandmaster to a bloody, quivering hulk in the dust, and then always politely thanking them afterwards. Occasionally, everybody stops for dinner, and the groupies sit around eating chicken heads, while meanwhile, the new Grandmaster says things like, tomorrow I must fight again. Well, you'd fight too if you got the drumstick.
Very good. Well, I've got something special for my dog of the week, a dog that isn't a dog. Let me explain. It's going to take a while. People ask me a lot, how do you and Roger find all these dogs of the week? Well, a lot of them find us in the course of our reviewing virtually every new commercial film that's in town. But if we haven't seen a dog all week and it's kind of getting close to time to do this show, we will both look through our local newspaper movie ads and go see a film that sounds like it might be a dog. Well, this week I went to a film called Adios Amigo, a Western that was being billed as starring Richard Pryor. And I must admit, although it isn't my policy to prejudge a movie, I will admit that, yes, I had a feeling Adios Amigo just might be a dog. I didn't think Richard Pryor had made a new film by that title, certainly not a Western, which is what Adios Amigo turned out to be. And so my dog-sniffing instincts told me, go see that movie. Well, Adios Amigo is not a new Richard Pryor movie. In fact, it's an old movie, written, produced, directed, and co-starring Fred Williamson, along with Pryor. But this is important. It's not a dog. Pryor is hilarious in scene after scene. You can see him early in his career, even though some of the filmmaking is pretty amateurish. So, I don't have a dog this week, just a shaggy dog story of my search for one.
So it has a happy ending.
And at least we're being honest. We're not going to force a dog into the show if there isn't one.
Very big of you, Gene.
Thank you.
So much for the dogs this week. Now let's take another look at the major movies on this program.